Hey toy fans, I'm D21 Beast and welcome to day 4 of my 13 days of Halloween video review series. If you're not familiar with the series that I'm talking about or the potential to win prizes involved, definitely check the link in the description below this video. But today here we do have Isaac Clarke from the video game Dead Space 2. This figure was released by NECA in 2011, the same year that Dead Space 2 the game was actually released. If you're not familiar with Isaac Clarke or the video game series Dead Space, know that Dead Space is a survival horror game series that was created by Visceral Games, published by EA, and there were 3 incarnations that featured Isaac Clarke himself as the protagonist. Now there was a spin-off game, Dead Space Extraction, that was exclusive to Wii initially and later ported to PlayStation 3 with Move support. That game did not feature Isaac, but was still a very strong entry in the Dead Space canon. Now this version of Isaac does look as he appeared in Dead Space 2. His costume was a bit different in the first and third Dead Space games. And if you haven't played the games before, I strongly encourage you guys to check out at least Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, as they are prime examples of what a perfect survival horror game is for this modern genre of gaming. And it's my favorite survival horror series in the last 15 years. With all that info out of the way, let's say we go ahead and take a look at Isaac's paintwork and sculpting up close. Alright, Spook fans, here we have this Isaac figure up close, and this is an absolutely phenomenal figure that NECA has given us. To start with, you can see that there is some silver paint here on the front of his mask. He's got some blue plastic pieces that have been sculpted and placed onto the head sculpt. There's some silver dry brushing to definitely add some texture and age and some battle wariness to this helmet. There's some great bronze painting here, as well as a blue light on the forehead. We got some black on the corners of the mask, and as you rotate it around, there's even some bronze paint and gold here on the back. Absolutely perfect attention to detail. As you come down the figure, you're going to start to notice some blood spatter around the figure, as well as some more fantastic sculpt work, very, very detailed. All that paint variation is just simply incredible. I'm probably going to miss something as we move down this figure, but just know this is some top-notch work from the guys at NECA, and it deserves to be admired for all it's worth. As we come down, some more blood splatter. You've got some white here on the armor, some more blue and brown, or sort of a dark blackish maybe paint variation. As you come down the front here, you do have the shin guards. You've got the boots sculpted perfectly. All this blood splattered, and as you flip the figure around, you've got all that sort of detail coming all the way up the back. You even have some excellent sculpting here on Isaac's rig, on his stasis meter. You can see on the inside of his palm over here, he's got his waypoint finder just like he had in the game. Now this is painted blue, and his stasis meter is painted blue, but there's actually a button here that lights up the rig of the figure, which of course is his life meter if you played the game, and adds this eerie light to his face mask, just like he has in the game. And it looks absolutely incredible. I'm so glad that that feature was included with this figure. As we take a look at the accessories for this Isaac Clarke figure, you can see that he does come with his signature plasma cutter. This is an absolutely fantastic sculpting and paintwork job on this gun. I mean, look at the yellow on there, the way they've done the dry brushing to add age to the weapon. As we flip it around, it's got the same sort of attention to detail on top. There's even some bronze paint here for the ammo on the gun. And then we look down the barrel of the gun, and you can see that there is a light blue and white paint in there. And just like in the game, Isaac's plasma cutter has its alternate fire mode, so you can change the angle at which you're firing your wave of energy. So that was an absolutely great touch. Now, this figure does have a hand that's designed to hold this gun. As you pull over Isaac here, you can see that in the right hand, he does have a trigger hand. You can go ahead and slide this plasma cutter right into his hand. It does fit pretty comfortably. Just kind of wiggle it in there. And he holds it very nicely, and you can switch to alt mode if you want to, or just hold it straight. But Isaac has no trouble standing and pointing his gun in the direction he wants to fire. Moving on to articulation, we can see that this Isaac Clarke does have a head that'll rotate left and right, and it would possibly spin a full 360 degrees, but I'm kind of concerned about messing up the light function, so I don't even try, but it seems like it would go all the way around. As far as looking up and down, the head actually doesn't move at all. Again, that's probably to facilitate the light function, but I'm so glad we get that side-to-side motion. Taking a look at the arms, you can see that it is ball jointed to move all the way around, and it does bend out. There we go, out, away from the body about that far, and back in. He's got a rotation at the elbow that spins all the way around, as well as having a single joint that moves up that far and down that far. And then at the wrist, he does have a full rotation, as well as having a hinge to move his hand down that far and up that far, a little bit hindered by the sculpt work. And that articulation is identical on the other side. Despite having the light function, Isaac does have a waist rotation, which was great, and he rotates left and right pretty nicely. There's no ab crunch on this figure. His leg does bend forward on a standard joint that far, bend back very far, and there's also a second hinge that allows the leg to move out extremely far from the body, probably more so than Isaac ever would have actually moved. And then he does have an upper thigh swivel that spins all the way around, as well as having a knee swivel And then he's got a single jointed knee that does bend back that far and forward that far. And then he does have ankle articulation that rotates left and right and bends down just a little bit and up a little bit. It is a ball joint that's on the ankle there, not any sort of standard hinge or even anything that allows traditional ankle pivot like you'd see with the Hasbro action figure, but a nice ball joint nonetheless. And this Isaac figure does stand very nicely. You don't really have to try that hard at all, and the articulation is just perfect on this guy for the amount of detail that we're getting. Height-wise, we can see that Isaac Clarke does stand at just over 7 inches tall. For some size comparison, here we have Isaac Clarke standing next to the Marvel Select Doctor Doom figure. And here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Alright toy fans, well that's my review of the Dead Space 2 Isaac Clarke figure released by NECA in 2011. And overall, this is an absolutely must-have figure if you're a fan of the Dead Space series, horror genre, or really just video game toys in general. This is a perfect representation of Isaac. It's got some of the best sculpting and articulation and paintwork all combined that I've seen on a figure of its type, and Isaac is definitely one of my top 10 favorite toys of all time to own. This is a perfect figure for your video game fan, for yourself, or anyone who's played the game and likes collecting toys, so definitely try to go find this figure if you can. The only catch is that this did come out in 2011. On the secondary market, he's going for about 40 bucks right now. Isn't too bad, but it's a little more than he was when he first came out. Well, that's my review, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to check out the link in the description below this video for more on my 13 Days of Halloween contest giveaway. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, if you see a necromorph next time you turn down a corridor, don't aim for the head, aim for the limbs.